to the day 2 of our webinar event. We will shortly begin. If more people are joining the webinar, we will wait for them for like 2-3 minutes, and then we will begin this series, part day 2. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the day 2. And we have Nitin with us today. And I'll be your host, Jyot. And today we are going to go from theory to reality. So we will cover what we had done in day 1. We will walk you through theory and how can we make it to reality, and what are the real challenges that we as a data team face, we as a marketing team face, uh, implementing different use cases at the brand side. So, this is a 3-day live event series. If you are attending for the first time, it's a become a data hero in 3 days. So we are going to cover strategy. That's what we covered in the day 1. So we have completed that part where we covered the landscape and real world challenges. Today, our focus will be more on the theory to reality. So this is where we will walk you through the implementation process, challenges, solutions to those, and we'll leave you with certain real life business use cases that you can try out at your end too. The next week, the last part of the webinar will be conducted, which is going to be a complimentary hands-on training where you will build your own recommendation engine and learn how you can recommend better products, better notifications to your customers by expert trainers from Tatvic. Throughout the webinar, we had guests from Google, we have guests from Trust Bank, Singapore, and we have guests from Tatvic. So let me go into the quick introduction part before we jump into the actual content. If you don't know Nitin, who had also accompanied us in the first section, Nitin Bhargava is the Chief Data and Analytics Officer at Trust Bank. He has played a phenomenal role in transforming the MarTech landscape at Trust Bank. With over 20 plus years of experience, he has led positions at different banks across APAC and EMEA regions such as Mox Bank, Standard Chartered, the first Gulf Bank, and he has driven retail growth via data modeling, consumer insights, pricing, and risk strategies. So, very warm welcome to you, Nitin. Thank you from all of us to join us for a second session and spending time. And yes, a little bit about me. I'm your host today, and I'll walk you through the full presentation with Nitin. I lead the MarTech and Analytics at Tatvic across the APAC region. I particularly look after the MarTech roadmaps, ensuring seamless execution and delivery of the different MarTech projects, delivering exceptional results. Together with MarTech, I'm also interested in learning and training. So with training like 1,000 plus professionals across Google technology in APAC region, I have taken a personal interest in MarTech School initiative, where we drive a lot of learnings for the community and for the people on both agency side as well as client side. So yeah, quickly, I think if you are attending it for the first time, or if you have attended our previous session, let's quickly refresh our understanding of what we had covered in the last section. We started with DigiScape. So DigiScape actually focused on the consumer changes that are happening in the industry right now. As the result of consumer and privacy policy regulations change, what has happened is different MarTech techs have evolved differently and are forced to change differently. This directly resulted into brand side challenges. So what Nitin covered was different brands from a financial segment. What are their hurdles? What do they hear every day? Tools versus needs. We covered the compliance. We covered identity access management, measurement prioritization, unified identity. All those were different challenges that brands faced that Nitin covered last time. Then we talked a little bit about era of modeling. So Kenny from Google has covered how the marketing era has been changing to from broadcast to precision to predictive era, and how Google is tackling this problem by making its Google's privacy-centric measurement technology. And then later we deep dive again into different brand use cases that people on the brand side generally execute, like single view of the customers, orchestrating the customer journeys, building different funnel analytics, segmentation, and all. So with this, Ruby concluded our first day with futuristic insights about digital maturity and how brands need to connect, innovate, and continuously experiment. So this is what we covered. We will be sharing all the material of day one with all our guests. So please hang on with us. We will be sharing that recording with you. For today, I think I will be setting a little bit of context. So in today's discussion, we are going to deep dive into a lot more into the implementations and how people working on the brand side get different challenges and also propose certain solutions for you to consider. And when we think about a company, what I see generally is every company that we have worked with previously as an agency or on the brand side, they all go through certain stages, and those stages are called digital maturity stages, right? As you can see the picture on the slide, every company starts with a very nascent state. Some also start with emerging stage because if they have certain infrastructure in place. But as you see, the growth in human beings as a baby becomes a toddler becomes a youngster, and then he gets married, gets a wife and child, and then it's the full family that goes together on a particular journey. So very similarly, a company also goes through different phases, and very similarly, if you have noticed in this analogy, at every stage there is a different vehicle that a person tries to drive. Could be cycle at a toddler phase. When you get married, you got a car. When you are a full family, if you are a bigger family, you can look at a bus or a bigger van or a vehicle. So these are the four stages which we wanted to start today with. And as we go into the section, what we will be doing is we will help you explain one very simple use case for every stage of the brands that are at a different stages. And there is no right answer to different digital maturity stages. Like a brand can be anywhere between emerging to connected stage. Some brands are moving from connected to multi-moment, and you need to find out your right sweet spot when you work on your brand side or work on your martech projects. So just to highlight, when you go from nascent to emerging to connected to multi-moment stages, different analytics tools that you see on the screen, they start getting connected, right? So at an early stages, everything is siloed. Maybe you are the only sole person or one-man army doing everything. So there is not enough bandwidth. Not all the tools are connected. Digital analytics platform sits on its own and nothing is connected actually. So very nascent stage. As you move to the different stage, you will start connecting your media and analytics, right? So that's where you start making sense that how your media results into outcomes, start tracking conversions, start optimizing your campaigns. And more importantly, your digital analytics platform starts talking to other platforms, right? Very maybe default integrations like optimization platforms, or it could be search ads or display or any other ad platforms that you are using. Uh, when you move to a connected stage, what primarily changes is your digital analytics platform starts connecting to third-party data source like third-party and first-party both. CRM, it connects with your DSPs and it starts connecting with your marketing automation tools like it could be a CDP or a consumer CEP platforms, customer experience platforms, and you are able to orchestrate end-to-end customer journeys from one marketing stack only. And the last stage is more important from an era of AI, where the whole marketing stack starts connecting with cloud, data warehousing, and AI technology, and that's where cloud and marketing comes at a later stage where you are entering into the multi-moment era. So these are all different wonderful ideas that we had discussed in the last section. You can always make terrific plans, but as we all know, the devil is in the details. So what we have planned for you today is we will go through each stage one by one, nascent, emerging, connected, multi-moment. I will hand it over to Nitin. Once we go into each stage, he will explain what are the kind of use cases he has developed, deployed at Trust Bank. Overall, from an industry perspective, what could be the use cases? What are the process of deploying it? And what kind of people, technology, and process challenges that he has faced? And how can we rectify those challenges before you even start working on your use cases? So let's start with Nathan. So Nathan, I think if you can see my screen, I think the picture says is worth 1,000 words. If you start creating your GA4 tags or making your analytics tags without any plan, definitely you are going to blow it up. So let's learn from Nitin. Nitin, what are your experiences on the measurement part? And yeah, if you can walk us through the different measurement stages, that would be great.
Sure. Thank you, Jyot, and welcome again, everybody. People who are on their day two, congratulations. People who are on day one, again, like today, we'll discuss few of the real life use cases and how does these four stages matters. So let's start with the nascent one. And yes, as Jyot put up the right picture there, so the flow would be we'll go into few use cases for each category. and what does a good end result or end state looks like, and what kind of challenges we faced while we implement them, and few ideas around how do you solve that. So starting with the first one on the marketing or the tagging what we were talking. So a very basic one would be, and I hope most of you have that in place, is like you have the code SDKs installed and you are doing a very basic tracking of conversions. And this conversions can be for a particular campaign, or it can be as broad as started the journey and ended the journey. And that was the whole point, that start with very basic, so at least you get the first indicator in. Now you know that, then we go the next level, which is we create channel specific links. In this case, one link creation for our app and UTMs for the sites. And you can go to the next level to understand which source are you getting the best leads, or where are you getting, what's driving your conversions. Then comes the third level, in which we started tagging and hence getting the data to analyze more on user behaviors and event behaviors. So what coupons user viewed, stored, redeemed, or don't use at all. So those are very important parameters for us to track when we do the marketing campaigns or activation campaigns, and that provides a lot of insights. And then last but not the least, that will result into a performance report of a campaign or a journey. So we just took one example to stitch all this together. Like to start with, suppose we are giving a particular coupon, so at least how many coupons are awarded is a good matrix to start with, and consumed obviously. Then we can start looking at it, what's a source, like is it coming from our esteemed partners, or is it coming from a Google, Facebook, or any third party. And then we started stitching it with, okay, so redemption happened, what does it results into? Is it a continuous behavior, is it one time usage, what kind of customer profiles are the people who are using this? And then last but not the least, attaching the monitoring value to it. So that's how the total journey spans up. And if you are a beginner, start with the leftmost step, at least have a basic tracking and a one indicator which your business really needs it, and then work on second, third, fourth level deep layers to get to the right insights. Shall we move on, Joe? Yeah. So yes, putting up the steps in process, planning, measurement framework around it, right tagging to as per that framework, validation, again very critical process, will touch into one of the challenges, and then go live reports. So this is a 5-step process using which you can achieve what we just demonstrated into our first slide. Yes, nothing comes free. So there are challenges even in nascent stages. So let's look at few of them and some of the solutions which worked for us in past, and also based on the experience, we think that this might be useful to the team. So first one to start with, on the prioritization. So like, do I launch first or do I tag first? So here the recommendation or solutions would be, again, we never took an approach that tag everything, because again, too much of data sometimes is also like bit throw you out. So identify the journeys, identify the critical journeys, and critical journeys need to be tagged at the same order of priority as your product launch or a site launch. Uh, uh, and again, like data practitioners on the call can agree with me that you launch it and you have no tracking, all the questions will be to you. So agree on with business that okay, you are launching this, or this is a new addition, what are you trying to achieve? Is it higher activation or higher downloads or higher product usage? And that becomes the metric. And like now, to get that metric, what all the events or the attributes or the data points which you need, those need to be tagged and tested. So that's challenge number one. Challenge number two, texts were implemented, but it's not covered into the documentation, or I am not getting the right info what I need. So again, a bit interlinked points, but what we are trying to put here is it's always better to have a clear documentation. So like we use a tool called Figma. So that works between marketing analytics, MarTech teams, and the product teams. So that's our golden source of truth of what the customer journeys are and how does the screen going to look like. Based on that start point, we put the tagging plan, implement it, test it, and then deploy it into production. Uh, so two key callouts here. One, single view across both the teams. If you are on outdated version, your tagging will fail. Or if product had implemented something without tagging, then again, no MI would be available. So this is a pretty process which will go hand in hand with the business partners, which will benefit both the teams. And thorough testing. So again, like any other production release, a proper QA is needed for a tag plan and data flowing to as well. Because if you miss any of those, then again the end result is erroneous journey. And maybe one of the funnel slides when we go to, I'll highlight this fact again. But the point is, suppose you have a 5-step journey, and for some reason 2 is not done. So from 1 you will directly straight away jump to 3. You don't know how much you lose on 2. But more importantly than that, is 1 to 2 a problem or 2 to 3 a problem? And then you need to wait again 2 is stacked. So a clear journey plan and then tagging the right pages is critical. And lastly, on the conflicting codes, like what's missing and what's working. So like we just kind of see the end picture, or this MI is wrong, or this drop offs doesn't look correct, or why, how come such a big drop off? Because once you productionize the report, what people will see is the left side. They don't care whether it's a code issue or a data issue. So that's as a best practice, it's for us. So one, through the proper planning and proper testing, that would be taken care of it. But in addition to that, like few steps would be regular audit of your existing funnels as well, given like customer journeys based on the A/B testing keeps changing. So your funnels are putting the right picture, or customer journeys in that way. Secondly, most of the teams are on agile ways of working now. Every 2 weeks, some new journeys, whether a acquisition or a activation or a usage, is getting rolled out. So you should be working hand to hand with those teams. One, to have A/B testing approved across both the teams, and second, tracking in place for A/B testing. Because if you are doing A/B testing and if you don't track it, there is not much fun, right? Uh, and So how do we ensure you are on top of it? So two pointers on the right hand side. One, either a MarTech or a product or a jointly need to be a regular audit, that yes, all the right points are tagged, all the right points are flowing in correctly, and we have the right KPIs or right metrics. And monitoring. So again, using GA, this can be automated a bit, but in absence of that, a basic checks on outliers or on missing values would be helpful to see if there are any tagging issues. So this is what we had put up for nascent stage, which would solve your basic use cases, and you should be able to have a clean reporting for the management.
Thanks, Nitin, for all your insights on the nascent stage. I think a lot of you might have already started on your measurement journeys. And measurement can be as easy to do as it can be very complex when it comes to AMP or deep link tagging. So in itself is a great journey. Some people have made careers into measurement, like some people, Timo Ahwa or Avinash Kaushik. So they are the great people who I also respect, appreciate, and I have learned from them personally. So do try it out, do try out different use cases. Before we move into the next step, I think I would appreciate if you have any questions. There is a chat, there is a question answer feature in the webinar. So please feel free to put in your questions in the chat group. We will be taking up all the questions at the end. And yeah, I think Nitin, we are ready to go into the emerging state. So a lot of times what I observed is when the marketing teams work to acquire the new users, they start giving a lot of love to the end customers, like offers. Then there are coupons, there are limited time deals, and personalized messaging to the end customer. But what I also think is that when the user is acquired and goes into the customer journey with a brand, certain times there are a lot of gaps into the customer journey, and then the whole user goes into the different roller coaster ride, and that raises the question that should we look at the top part of the funnel, or should our funnel also include the retention? So I would love if you can share more on the funnel analytics and how do you do actionable funnel analytics at Trust Bank. That would be really insightful for the audience.
Sure, Joe. Thank you. And you got a good intro, humorous intro into all the four stages. So that's nice. So yeah, we call it as emerging because now you can see your tagging how it result into action and either a revenue, a generation, or customer acquisition or retention. All are potential use cases. So to explain this, we stick to the funnels again, applicable to all the industries and easier to understand. So though we write four stages because we just wanted to cover one by one, but concept is simple. So once you get first one, two, three right, fourth is the crucial one. So ask here is again, let's start with a very simple funnel, and in this case, I'm talking about onboarding journey. So put it up. What are the steps in your onboarding journey? And in this case, we assume there are four steps. And what is the flow rate from one to four? So if 100 customers started or landed on your page one, how many actually completed the journey at the last page? So that's a basic funnel which should be available for most of your products. Once we are done with simple funnel, we move to stage two, which is breaking it up. So in this example, we split it up, taking financial industry as an example. That is it a funnel for a new to product customer who first time landed and trying to go through the funnel, or is this funnel to existing to product customer? So that itself gives you very different drop off rates and very different pain points, and you will realize the value of it when you do it for your particular industry or a product. So again, like, take this as an example. The whole idea is that yes, overall funnel shows you 10% drop off, but when you split it up by the right matrix, whether it's a new versus existing, or it's product A versus product B, or or any other right indicator, you will see much more insights that yes, average is 12, but that is because one is 30 and another is 5. So you know what problem to solve for. So that is stage two, which is just kind of breaking the funnel. Stage three is again, if further sub segmentation is possible. So in this case, we put up a lens of a product. So overall funnel is split into existing and new, and then the last leg is on the offerings. In my earlier experiences, in my view, I think three level is already detailed enough. That should give you the level of details what you want for your business. But if you are talking of a very highly complex industry, and even if this level 3 is also at a top level, then you need to take a call at what level you want to stop. But the whole idea is by slicing and dicing, you're getting to the root of the problem, and you are exactly knowing where your biggest chunk of drop off is coming from. So as you can see now, like 1, 2, and 3 is similar. It's just that slice and slice and further slice. And then comes the most important part or the crucial part. So now you know what is the problem or where your highest drop off is coming. And in our experience, I at a very broad level, I just put it into two categories. Is it issue because of errors, like customer is doing something which he's not supposed to do, or the data entered is wrong, or some issues at a customer level. In that case, are we highlighting the right error messages? Are we giving the clear directions to customer that what is the issue and what needs to be done so he or she can progress into the journey? The second is at the organization end, so which is are your journeys not intuited enough, and that's where customers are getting blocked. In that case, in-app notification can be one good solution, or the flows are not intuitive. So and all these are, again, I'm just talking generic problems which people faces. If flows are not intuitive and particular flows have a higher drop off, then you have to do A/B testing. Then design 2 3 flows based on customer feedback, implement again on a test group basis, and see whichever journeys gets you the maximum throughput through the funnel. That's the right way to go ahead. So that covers more or less our 4 stages of funnel. Now let's look at few of the process end to end, and then jump to our uh, challenges and how do we solve it. So from my end-to-end perspective, you define the goal. So in this case, goal was very clear through the funnel overall customer onboarding. Implement queries onto BigQuery, and again this solves bit of a performance issues also. So we tried running directly on Google, but it takes a lot of time. So we find running queries directly on BigQuery and then putting up through Looker Studio very fast. So once you have the data, have your dashboards onto the Looker Studio, start the reporting and insights, and then the most critical step, based on the framework what we uh, just went through. If you know what are the errors, are you asking customer how to fix it? If those errors are on your side, have you taken a step that customer does not see those errors? Uh, or if it is a particular cohort issue or a step issue, then using research, identify those gaps, do the A/B testing, and implement the right steps. So that completes the full funnel. So jumping into challenging and solutions, and again, there may be many, but we'll stick to top three. So first one, asking for information on journey, but nobody seems to have, like how do I get with building the funnels? And uh, again, no shortcut here. Again, collaborative tool and working closely with your business partners is the key here. I already mentioned on previous slides, like we use Figma, so we find that as a pretty good tool. And then that's a point of connection between martech and product. So any changes by design teams, what gets into production, and we have a live copy. So yeah, the first part is, do you have the right tool, and do you have a single source of truth? Because if teams are on different versions, that will break the pipe, and we'll realize it later once tagging is done and you have the data. Funnel is complex. How to identify where the users are dropping off? So we covered that in detail. We need to look at multiple cuts. So, like, yes, overall funnel or stage one is very important, at least to have a baseline number. But then we have to get into slicing and dicing. So whether splitting by new and existing makes sense, or looking at funnels by products make sense, those are the critical areas. So again, if any bankers on call, I can take an example of credit card and deposits. So as most of you who have cards knows that there is a bureau step. whereas in deposits it's a KYC. KYC is actually is common to both. So yes, given in credit card there is a extra step, so you expect more drop off there, whereas it will not be into your savings. So as soon as you start breaking your funnel just at a product level, you know that if your acceptance rate is X percentage, what is card distribution and what is deposit distribution, and then the drop off on each would be very different reasons. So that's where the stage 4 comes into picture, that we started with total funnel, we split it up into product, and now when we are at a final stage and now we are looking at the reasons for drop off, that's where we start looking at the framework of customer versus company initiated, and then whichever bucket that drop off is falling to, that has to take the appropriate action. And then moving to the last one, GA have slow loading, especially when dealing with large data sets. So again, we learn by experience. People who are already well versed with BigQuery know this. So we really struggled in beginning with like we click on it and then just waiting for the funnel to be updated. And given most of these, we look at end of day and sometimes real time as well. So that's where making the Looker Studio reports directly to BigQuery help us to optimize the queries and have a uh, very regular and less wait time MI availability to the users.
Yeah, I think Nitin, that's very insightful. Like especially when you are in a boardroom presenting your funnels or dashboards to the senior management. I think the load times also matter if there is. And what I've also seen is people also want to know more. Like if there is a drop off, that is not where the conversation will end. There will be lots of thought process that goes into how these users are dropping off and what can we do to really reduce the drop off rate at a particular stage and make it a win-win for both customer as well as the business. So yeah, with this, I think we are ready for the next stage, which is where we get into a little more complex use cases. They are not very complex, but it requires complex sort of tagging, complex access and integration of data, which we call connected stage. So if you are a brand where you have started connecting your different data sources with your analytics platform, then you have started at a connected stage. One simple example is the retargeting ads. And while this picture actually represents a user fatigue with retargeting ads, so we will try to showcase like what kind of retargeting we can do and how can we make it more better. Yeah, I think we all know about the ads that follow us over the internet. As soon as you go through a certain product, you are looking at the specifications and evaluating. The moment you do this, that product will follow you all over the internet. So how do we do this? To what details we want to do this? And what are the kind of challenges that you will face when you try to do this? Let's hear it out from Nitin.
Thanks, Zod. So yeah, in this area, I think what experience says is less is more. Uh, Instead of sending all customer, all mails or all products, if you go really targeted and personalized, that's key to success. So again, like talking of a framework, first stage wise, first is we do normal remarketing, and I'm sure most of you have done it in part of your careers. So, but this is just more on a general side. Like in this example, hey, you have one item in a cart. So somebody is shopping for a book. He or she selected a book and it's just lying there. So yeah, first good practices. Yes, there is some you showed an interest. Here is something, and go and finish the deal. Now, second stage comes in, and that's why we put it into bit of advanced category, because now it needs bit of a connection to paid media or other alternate sources. So you had tried your EDMs, you had tried your push, or he is not even your customer as of now, but at least you know that there is an intent. So how do you connect the dots and use help of a paid media and reach out to the customer? And in this time you're very specific because you know which book is stored. That are you still excited and do you want to proceed with the deal? Then comes bit of a segment layer. This is where we started becoming bit personalized, bit difficult for non-customers, for your own customers for sure. You have lots of data in terms of their buying behavior, their payment behavior, mobile behavior. So those few things can be added. So here the example is that it's an existing customer, and based on the previous buying habits, put into an analytics category. So hey, this looks like a perfect book for an analytic person like you. You want to try. And then lastly, like just adding a personal touch on this, that hey Jodh, this looks a perfect match for analytics pro like you. Do you want to go ahead? So just again, it's just same campaign, but as you can see that how it evolves from just a generic message to a targeted message, and then added with a segment and a personalized message. And now, as Jyoth was adding all the start pages, even this one goes to him. So this was his idea on that. Yes, means depends on what your communication style is, and if you wanted to add a humor, like in this case, this author is saying that do I need to wait till I become have a white beard for the time you to buy? So yes, I think good humor is always respected. At least I enjoy it. So yeah, that's a bit of a remarketing and reconnecting. And now again, the framework and the challenges. So again, what's your objectives? So is it your first time activation, or is it people who were active and become inactive, or is it just proper usage campaign, or is it all out marketing campaign? So what's your objective? Based on the objective set, what's the right segments? This can be demographic, this can be behavioral, this can be based on multi parameters, maybe score based as well. So depends on what problem are you trying to solve for. Choose the right retargeting channels, and again, like I'll lay a bit stress on that. Like you may ask, like, what's the right channel? So yes, if he's your customer and he is active with you, your in-house channels will work, which is EDM and push, or in-app push, EDM, SMS maybe. Again, at least not for this part of the world. And if he is showing behaviors of inactivity, or he never use your product, then in that scenarios you have to rely on his channel of preferences, and then go through the right partners to reach out to your client base. Then last two, again, no rocket science. Create a personalized content and measure the impact. So for measuring, again, both A/B testing and test and control are very important. Do multiple versions. Even if you are doing a ADM, just changing a tagline makes much a difference. So try those things out. And in terms of test and control, that would clearly tell you the impact of your campaigns. You can also try a channel mix. Again, like there are tools in market which creates a history, which learns using AI, and decide that what's the right time or a right tool to reach out to customers. But based on your contact policy, if it permits, you can also do for a specific campaign some channel mix, like EDM only, push only, or push followed by EDM if it's such a unique campaign and a better ROI. So yeah, these are few areas around the remarketing strategies and the steps to be covered. Now moving on to same our three challenges and the solutions. So first one, on audience segmentation, I rely on assumptions. Oh, this is mobile savvy product. Everything 18 to 45, just target them. Try to avoid, and again here I keep saying less is more. So one indicator which you may look at, or like at least what I had experienced is we dropped our EDM volumes by about 20%, but our conversion rates and open rates went up. So as you go more targeted, you will get more results, happy customer and happy you. So here the ask is that whatever is the right tool, if you are doing a cross sell, do propensity based models, go for top three, top four deciles. No point of targeting everybody if you already know that propensity to take up the product is lower, or if it is more on uh, creating the right segments, then you can look at clustering techniques. So yes, means most of your teams will be supported by data scientists. So use the statistical techniques to have the right segments so that you can do the personalized marketing. Moving to challenge number two, I am working to integrate the data, and it's proved to be quite complex. And that's a bit of a common problem, and specifically for the ones who have a old technology set and they are either moving to the newer ones, or trying to overlay onto the older data sets. So yes, maybe data lake or a CDP may be the right answer, but again depends on your organization size and budgets, because again, like the cost varies based on use case by use case. But the whole idea which we are trying to present is any new data set getting added is of immense value to your data scientists as well. So have a provision that at least the data team sees the single customer view. So what they, and again, taking the banking example, what do they do with your product? So where are they using the card based on their card usage behavior? What segment you want to put them into? How's their repayment behavior? What's their appetite for risk? And then combine it with your mobile data, that how active are they on mobile? What kind of coupons interest them? So as and when you get more and more data points, your segment keep becoming more robust, and that gives you more ideas on what should be the segment specific campaigns which you should be doing. So if budget permits and or you are setting up your architecture, please have a look at CDP. And again, no advocate of any CDP, but I'm just talking CDP in general. Or if not, then have your own data lake or space in which at least you and your team have a single customer view to drive these customized segments. And then lastly, on the access, because yes, for means you use data governance as an enabler rather than a blocker. So put your requirements upfront to them, and yes, if you need data and which is to be sensitive data, the better way is let it be tokenized. And when you are doing your modeling or segmentation, use a detokenization service, or some organization follow identity and access management. So there can be service accounts or high usage or high level of security accounts created for specific purpose, which access should be to your CMO or the data science lead head, and they can use it for the right segmentations. So this looks like a bit of a blocker, because oh, I have data but I can't access it. But it's more of what are you going to use that data for, and if that usage is permitted, then I don't think anybody will stop you. Now it just either you get the right level of access, or you use the detokenization services if it is really sensitive data, and I'm sure people will not say no if it's a right reason for the data usage.
Yeah, I also agree, Nitin. When at this connected stage, what I also see is a lot of collaboration is also required. So be prepared for collaboration with different teams, because when you start realizing that all your data is in silos or in different systems, which is owned by different team members or different teams, you will likely need their buy-in. So don't think that it's going to be an easy task. But with right set of attitude and with right set of push from the top management, you will be able to integrate all those data sources. You could use pipelines, or like Nitin mentioned, create a small data lake where every data set is just dumped and can be connected together. CDP is a great choice for brands who have budget. You can also create your CDP on Google Cloud. If you don't have right budgets, then go to the infra side, get it developed, start with a smaller use case, and build on top of it. So, Nitin, with this, we need to go into a multi-moment stage where we will need to explore more on the recommendation side. So, you have been data and data on the data science part for like almost 15 plus years now. So, I would like to really understand more about the recommendations. And yeah, before we go into this stage, I think a lot of brands will face certain challenges when they are at a connected stage and they want to do more, right? They want to move from connected to multi-moment as a stage. That's where marketing teams alone cannot move from one stage to another stage, where they need a superpower of data science. And at this time, marketing analytics teams will need to decide that what kind of data science adventure you want to go through. And this is a very funny flowchart, but yeah, if you are making the right set of decisions for customers, and if you are making lots of decisions using data, probably you need more of a machine learning. And that's where the recommendations will come into the picture, which I would like you to share more about.
So very nice decision tree, Jyot, and thanks for the right start. So yeah, moving to the last leg of the journey on multi-moment, and we put up the recommendation engine there because it has bit of all. You need to have the right tagging, you need to have all data at one place, you need to have right segmentation tools, and more or less this is kind of a end result. So we start with a very basic example, like if you have to recommend a coupon or recommend a product or recommend a deal, uh, you can start with pretty basic content-based filtering, which I think most of organization does. So a user A had read a book, and then there is another user, and then there is a book which was read by A but not with B. So let's recommend that. But yeah, now with connected data, with more attributes, we can do lookalike, we can do propensity. So what you see on board is example of lookalike or a collaborative filtering. So these two users on most of the parameters look same. A user has three, but other one has only seen two. So very highly likelihood that this person is going to use the third one. So start with a basic recommendation engines. Maybe to start with, it is just rule based, and then you can add on the propensity layer, the channel layer, the lookalike layer, to make it more personalized and more effective. So again, stages for recommendation. So gathering past behavior to understand user preference and bit of user segmentation. So using the right tools, do the feature engineering, and build the recommendation model. Jodh bring one important point. If you are a Google user and if your data is already into Google ecosystem, maybe to start with, Google can be your CDP because it has all the data. You need to use the data to build your segments. Use BigQuery, and Vertex AI is live as well, and then test out those segments, those recommendations. Uh, so once the model is ready, obviously testing is critical. After test, integrating it with your MarTech stack. So whether it's showing the right banners onto the mobile, or the personalized EDMs, or push whatever your organization strategy is. And then last but not the least, the tracking. So whether your recommendations are working, and if yes, is it solving your objective? Like in most of the cases, recommendation engine is mainly for usage or activation. So those are the pretty good use cases for it. So let's go through our normal drill. Again, challenges and solutions. So first, and this is more for a data scientist in the room. This is like large language, Gen AI based algorithmic model. Are you ready to deploy? Let's use simple words. Let's use common terminologies and let's look at a basic definition. So like, if you have to ask me how do you evaluate model works or not, my first question is do back testing. Show me how much of the target are you covering in top three deciles. Or if you are talking of this lookalike models, then what's a model accuracy in terms of difference between the vectors. So this is more for business usage, that keep the variables simple, keep the term simple, simple parameters to track the effectiveness, so that we are not lost in building the world-class model, but we don't know whether it performs or not. Second one around inaccurate recommendations. Now, there is no one factor here. It can be many things, like the model build is not accurate, or the base on which you are trying does not have any past trend data. So, few suggestions, and I had seen organization using that as well. The first and foremost, and which works in most of the cases, direct customer feedback. You can give a thumbs up, thumbs down button, and like if you see 9 out of 10 users are giving you thumbs down, which basically means it really needs a rework. And this is not possible until you close the loop. So on the app or on the site or on the banner, show them, track the feedback, based on that, recalibrate or rebuild the model. So that's one measure. But again, like there can be multiple reasons to it. So we need to see if it doesn't work. Is it too much push? Is it reiterative push, or is it like completely disconnected recommendations? And then lastly, we have deployed the recommendation. However, it's not updating continuously. Very important for quite a few businesses, and I'm sure like everybody would be asking for real time or near real time. So and this again goes back to the dependency on architecture. So do you have the CI/CD pipelines correctly installed and continuous monitoring? And simple example would be if you are doing real-time targeting, then it has to happen real time, else you use the case. So like one very common one talked about is this airlines insurance. So at the time of ticket booking or at the time of leaving the airport, these are the two high intensity identifiers, where if you put it, it will take it. So that's where the timing comes into play. So if I swipe my card now and book a ticket, and then your engine runs only end of day, and then you get that feed, and only next day somebody is sending me the push, the probability already reduces by 50-60%. So based on like along with your use cases, what's your mechanism at backend to have it available real time to the clients is critical. So yeah, I think these things would be the right building blocks to have your successful recommendation engine. Jyot, over to you.
Thanks, Nitin. Thank you so much for explaining the multi-moment. And especially now I know, like whenever I click on the thumbs up or thumbs down button in ChatGPT, what all goes through in the backend, they will update their model according to the recommendations, and that makes it even more powerful. And we have all seen the power of AI. And yes, that brings us to the end of our content here. But say here in the next webinar, what we are going to cover is more of a recommendation engine built using Google Cloud ML. So if you are up for learning, if you are able to, if you want to learn more about how can you connect different data sets from Google Analytics or Google Cloud, bring it into Google Cloud ML and generate recommendations for your users, we will be there waiting for you to cover in the day 3 of the webinar. And yeah, before we go into the lots of questions, I think we have a lot of questions for you, Nitin. We want to just highlight to you that we have a free giveaway, and it was a surprise till now. With this session, we are going to share a true potential of GA4. If you want to unlock the true potential, we will be sharing a cheat sheet of 7 lesser known GA4 features with certain guided demos. So you guys can look at the feature, look at those demos, and understand what the feature does and how it does. So before you even go into the GA4, just try these demos. They're very straightforward, simple to use, and that will be right in your inbox after the end of this session. And yeah, like the last section, if you are joining this session for the first time, this is what we also are giving away. You will be given a survey at the end of this webinar. If you fill up that 5-question feedback survey, we will be randomly distributing 10 different books on your different reading modes to you. So if you are interested in reading of these books, please fill up the survey and participate. So time for the questions. Nitin, I think let's quickly go into certain questions now. I'll read out certain questions for you. So I have a first question, which suggests that can you describe any A/B testing or experimentation process you use to validate the effectiveness of your recommendation engine?
Yeah, sure. So I'll take 2 examples, one a normal campaign and another one on a recommendation engine. So normal campaign, as you may know, like we are looking at say activation campaign or a pricing campaign. So we try different headlines, we try different offers. In terms of mobile, even like we are looking to try different journeys and just to see like which one gives us the better through the funnels, and yes, the one with a lower follow rate is the one which gets selected. A recommendation engine, again, like I will split into 2 parts. So if you are doing pretty rule based, then it will be just be based on the what kind of a offer or a pricing you are going to try. But if it is a full-fledged model based on the response scores and all, the two which we tried is one around pricing. So again, uh, instead of just a flat pricing, based on bit of risk grading of the customers, based on customer profile, and based on propensity to take up the product. The few price points were tested, and like means it's an ongoing process. Again, I will not say it ended. So that will help us determine what's the right price point for a particular cluster or a segment, and then we can go ahead with that. Second one is around coupons. So again, like example which I will give is both bit banking specific. So we have these kind of clusters around dining, travel, insurance, kits. So there are behavioral segments and there are a bit transactional segments. So we do this uh, coupons testing based on these clusters or group, and then based on the right take up rates, based on the activation, and based on the ongoing usage, then we decide what are kind of our hero offers to be rolled out to the wider segment. I hope that answers your query.
Yes. We have another questions. Maybe I can take it up. What are the recommendations for coordinating the retargeting efforts with other marketing channels and campaigns? So I think the question is more about when we have multiple data sets, multiple teams working together, how do you coordinate retargeting efforts? Because it requires tremendous effort of work. And when you are planning your retargeting campaigns, I think my recommendation would be to code in as a unified messaging and try to go a little segmented rather than just blunt retargeting that, hey, the same ad follows up, and ultimately what we have seen today is it builds a user fatigue at the end of the day, right? I don't really like someone following me, so I also probably not like some ad following me across all my browsers, which continuously reminds me that somebody has access to my data and then is showcasing me the ad. So add a little bit of humor touch and prepare multiple variations. So that is very important. Like if you think that one of the retargeting ad is not working for your campaign, try to go to the same user with another set of retargeting ad with a little different messaging, with maybe a different humor or a different version of the same creative will probably work for you. So that's what is my recommendations on the retargeting campaigns. Yeah,
Yeah.
From a team's perspective, just give people a heads up, because a lot of times compliance teams or product teams, they really don't know that what is retargeting campaign, how it needs to be executed, what data access will be required. So give everybody a heads up, give them a pre-read, educate them about retargeting, and then build a user internal case for your retargeting. Any inputs from you, Nitin, on this?
Yeah, Jyoti, I'll just want to add, like you touched upon, segment is a pretty good segue here. So given I assume person who asked the question, the concern is that too much communication to the client. So very clearly, like if you have the clear channel mix or the channel selection for the right segments, that would in a way solve this problem. So for example, customer never used my product, or customer who was active but last 3 months no activity. So anyway, you are doing your in-house channels, but it's not helping. So this is a clear segment. You go Google, Facebook, alternate media, and get them in. Don't waste your internal communications on these. Whereas the ones who are active with you, engaging with you, I don't see any reason why you put up a marketing dollar for that. So your contact policy is governed, EDMs, push, in-app. Uh, so if you have a communication cycle, then that's a pretty top level segment which you can try without having any risk of conflicting priorities or overlapping customer segments.
Right. Cool. So moving to the next question, which is mainly on GA4. What is the best way to implement Google Analytics for tracking with hybrid apps such as Vue.js and React? There is no straightforward way to implement, as the SDK available is not for these platforms, more of for native apps. Yeah, I think that's a very right question. I think raised by Edward Koo. Uh, then I can take this up, Nitin, because it's
Yes,
more on the
please. Yeah.
implementation side. So when you look at the Google Analytics as a solution, I think you might find it a little difficult if you are not on a native technologies like Android or Swift. If you are not using those native technologies, the Google Analytics implementation needs to be primarily customized for you. And when I say customized Google Analytics implementation, it refers back to measurement protocol. So over the period of time, what we have seen is the community itself builds SDKs using measurement protocol. But yeah, GA4 is pretty new, and you will not likely find any SDKs in the market who can work for React or Vue.js. And that's where a community will collaborate, things will happen. But if analytics is an urgency for you, you should consider measurement protocol and directly sending hits to Google Analytics server using that measurement protocol, which is a primarily a language that Google Analytics server understands. And you don't need to worry about any SDKs or any code. You can send it from any device, could be an offline device, online device, could be kiosk or ATM, or it could be a hybrid app like yours. I hope that answers your question. Cool. Moving to the next question, we have a question from Ayushi Saini. There are various limitations when we create a Google GTM measurement plan for a single page applications like click variables issue. Can you throw some light on this? So yeah, I think again an implementation related question. So yeah, I think single page applications can be a little tricky when you start implementing Google Analytics 4 or Google Analytics 3 on single page applications. You will find that a lot of issues like multiple firing of tags, or sometimes the page never refreshes in a single page app. So you will not be able to capture all the details that a normal Google Analytics 4 gives to you. And that's where you will need to stop utilizing your existing ways of tracking and start deploying custom tags for, let's say, single page application within Google Tag Manager. So what I remember from my past experiences is when I deployed this for a single page app, the customer had to completely not use the default tags, but we use custom tags, and we completely relied on a data layer for everything which means page views, events, or even the tagging parameters. Everything was customized based on the data layers only. There was no default data that we were tracking. If you want to track default data, Google Tag Manager does support it, but then it is a little complex. Right? You have to update your variables every time user moves or user clicks certain things, URL changes, but at the same time, you don't get to GA4 code cannot capture it. So you have to evaluate those variables, and it's a lot of pain. So the best way out there, I know, is to go for a completely customized data layer approach. Cool. We have one next question. I think, is there a reliable way to send tracking information when a user moves from a website to App Store to download the app? So Nitin, would you like to explain like how you use AppsFlyer to generate the links and measure journeys from website to app?
Yeah, so one approach, as Jyot mentioned, AppsFlyer is our partner in attribution tools. And basically, for any channel, we use one link which gets generated out of AppsFlyer and then tagged to a channel, and which goes back to the funnel which I was explaining earlier. So overall funnels we get from GA, but when we have to go to the funnel 2, which is channel level funnels, that's where this AppsFlyer one link be available, which help us to look at funnels by channels. Now, maybe technical implementation, Jyot, you can cover how does one link gets at a channel level.
Yeah, I think there are multiple tools out there. If you are looking at understanding the performance from website to App Store, primarily there is an SDK that AppsFlyer teams have developed, which can be installed. And if you are using AppsFlyer, it will give you the right set of, for example, attribution, like how many people scanned your QR code or came to your website and downloaded your app. If you don't have AppsFlyer, uh, there are not many such tools out there. So primarily, tracking the download is a little challenging without such measurement tools, which you will not be able to do it without such tools. What you can still do is you can still measure the re-engagement. So if you are looking at how many times people open your app after the install from a different Play Store or App Store or any other referral channels, that is something you can still do by deep link tracking. So there is a whole lot of difficult, complex deep link tracking that can be deployed on your app. But the best way, the cleanest way possible is to use one link from AppsFlyer, and it's free to get started. You can start using it. As far as you are in a sort of limited number of events, limited number of installs, you can definitely get your attribution corrected. Only if you go to the higher levels of installs, then you have to start paying for those pricing plans. So definitely you can explore more. Some more tools, I think Adjust is one more tool, and then there are other tools out there, but most of them are similar. AppsFlyer is the market leader, so we also recommend it with their best-in-class technology.
And it's good to have a
Mm.
single tool as your golden
Right.
source. Otherwise, reconciliation becomes another issue.
Right.
So, like if AppsFlyer is a golden source and that will generate all the channel codes, and AppsFlyer is also tracking your downloads, so it becomes single source for you to have an overall funnel
Mm.
as well as split by individual channels based on the one link generated.
Yeah. So moving to the next question, I think we have a question from Tarun. What are the key differences between Universal Analytics and GA4, and what are the limitations of GA4? So yeah, I think a very comprehensive answer you can get when you can. I think we have a page dedicated to this called ga4.tatvic.com. If you go to this page, you will be able to find all the details about how Universal Analytics and GA4 are different. And primarily, if I want to comment on this, uh, every time I think we were Universal Analytics was developed like around 12 years ago, and we have been utilizing that tool. Tool has improved over the period of time, but during this last 10 years, and also during the COVID, the technology has changed a lot. A lot of hybrid technologies like React, backend technologies have evolved, front-end technologies have evolved. And that's where Google teams also decided globally that our product should be ready for the next 20, 40 years of future analytics. And they started building Google Analytics for primarily, there is not much difference between Universal Analytics and GA4 from a tracking standpoint. But then there are notable differences like how Google Analytics 3 used to consider sessions as a very important metric, while more focus on GA4 is on users and events. So the whole model uh, schema is changing when we go to GA4. Another like notable difference is when you deploy Google Analytics 4, you get to start utilizing Google Analytics for integrations with Google Cloud platform like Google Cloud ML, and you don't need to do a lot of machine learning coding that generally a data analyst used to do to predict customers who will convert, for example, or if you want to understand, predict the customers who are going to be churned. So all these things you are able to get by default within Google Analytics 4, and it's going to be more intuitive, more customized too. So we have a nice training session. If you are interested, do reach out. We can share more material around the comparison about both the tools. And yeah, I think the last one, the limitations of GA4. The only limitation I see is GA4 is still an evolving product. So you might find it a little challenging when it comes to accessing certain reports, or sometimes your reports might not load. But Google Analytics 4 has tackled this challenge by exporting the full data set to Google BigQuery. So if you are well versed with Google BigQuery, reporting is not going to be a challenge for you. And I think this is also a notable difference because GA4 allows you to export full data set to Google BigQuery. Even if you are on a free version, you are able to export your data, which earlier was not possible, and you were limited by a lot of API calls within Google Analytics overall. Yeah, I hope that answers the question. And we are almost at the end, Nitin, of the webinar. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And in the next session, we will be building our own recommendation engine. So if you are interested in learning how to build recommendation, how to use Google Cloud, Google Analytics and combine the different data sets together, kindly join us for this session. And yeah, we will see you in the next day 3, which is building the recommendations engine. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. It is time to say goodbye.
Thank you.
And see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.